Hello. For those of you who couldn't be at my father's funeral and services, I wanted to record the eulogy that I said for him, and I hope you listen to this whole thing all the way through. My father lived an incredibly rich and full life. He grew up in a small blue-collar town in Pennsylvania where his imagination drove him to explore the world. He had a voracious appetite for learning new things and seeing new places. He had a huge helping of joie de vivre. How do you describe someone's character in just a few words? Dad was smart, funny, humble. He was affectionate. He was encouraging. He was strong yet sensitive. One of the things I most admired about my father was how open and accepting he was of everyone, their way of life, their religion, their culture. He did not judge them because they were different. He took pleasure in getting the chance to see things from the points of view from others. He had an exciting and rewarding career, which is not common these days. It was on the Mercury program, which was the first manned space mission by NASA, that he was stationed in Antofagasta, Chile, where he met my mom. They got married, and he was a great husband, and my mom's best friend for 60 years. Literally, they were through good times and bad times. I said this to everybody in church, but this also applies to everybody who's watching this video, I hope. Everyone sitting here today knows how much they loved each other. Each one of us felt it. Each one of us admired it. Each one of us were blessed to be spectators of such genuine love on earth. We mentioned in his obituary that he was an avid gardener, and many of the people that lived around here had the pleasure of tasting his famous tomatoes. But the best thing he ever planted and grew was our loving family. He protected us. He nurtured us. He let us grow into our own people. It was especially difficult for my dad when we lost Andrew in 2005 and Jocelyn in 2012. But he never gave up living with zest. He was a magnificent father in every way. And there's no way that my words can do him justice. But he loved stories, and so I can tell you a story that says a lot about my dad. When I was 6 years old, Dad brought our family down to Antofagasta, Chile, to spend Christmas and New Year with my mom's family. My dad's brother Bob and his wife Kathy from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, came along on the trip. It was the first time that I can remember meeting my family, my grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, my extended family in Chile. Now, at this time of year, it's summer in the South. And at some point on that trip, we went to stay at my family's beach house, which is in a remote and rustic village. It has no electricity, or had no electricity at the time, and to describe it, it was nestled against a small mountain at the tip of a peninsula. with a huge half-moon shaped bay, and that's where the beach house was. Now, the area in the north of the country is near the Atacama Desert. So imagine a landscape, picture a landscape like the Grand Canyon in the United States falls off to the desert that falls off into the sea. Now, from this remote area, the night sky is a blanket of stars. On one of the first nights that we were there, the whole family was sitting out on the patio, and we spotted what was either a shooting star or a meteor. We all watched in amazement as it appeared to fall towards the mountain behind the house. Well, being 6 years old, the next morning I wanted to go hike up into that mountain and get my star. I was insistent. I really thought that this was feasible. I was dumbfounded when my cousins and grandparents laughed at me. My father did not laugh. He said he would go with me, and he helped me pack water, snacks, and we set out on our expedition. Dad let me lead the way. We hiked over desert dunes and talked for hours. Finally, I could see that we were not even halfway to the foot of that mountain. And he let me decide if we should abort the mission or not. After a brief discussion of the probability that my star obviously landed in the sea beyond the mountain, I said we should go home. Now, mind you, this expedition lasted from the morning until the sun was setting. And not once did my father make me feel like I was silly. He always made me feel like I could do anything. In this moment, he taught me to trust my own decision making. He taught me to listen to my dreams. He taught me a sense of adventure. He was inspiring. That's the characteristic I want you to remember him by. And I know you will. Because for many years, I've been hearing from you, his family, his friends, how inspiring he is. For decades, his doctors told him how they personally admired him. Many of the regulars that walked around Wild Lake would stop my parents and chat with them and frequently say they wish that they would be feisty enough to be able to walk around the lake at their age. His smile radiated with joy. When you think of my father, be inspired. Be inspired to explore the natural world. Be inspired to sing and dance. Be courageous enough to try something new. Now he's on his next journey, and I know Dad is up in heaven with a big grin on his face and a martini in hand, celebrating his new eternal life with Jocelyn and Andrew.